So we've done deals, I think 7 or 8 different states now. But yeah, I'm going to share a little about virtual wholesaling, and then I'll kind of go over some of the strategies, techniques that I use. And if anyone has any questions, I'll make sure to answer them at the end. We'll do a Q&A portion. But yeah, so yeah, super excited. So let me share my screen real quick. Cool. So first thing I want to get into is what is virtual wholesaling. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with wholesaling. If you're not, wholesaling is basically finding real estate deals, getting them under contract, and assigning it to a buyer. And it's really that simple. A lot of people like to make it very complicated, but it's really that simple. Of course, there's some more nuances and more things to get into as you do it. But virtual wholesaling, all that is doing wholesaling outside of where you're at. So if you're anything like me, I noticed we had a couple people put in the chat that they're in San Antonio and Houston. If you guys have been doing this for any amount of time, I'm sure you know it's super competitive in both of those markets. So you have to compete with huge companies that have giant teams, that have huge marketing budgets, and a host of other reasons. It can be advantageous to go virtual. Obviously, there's still opportunities where you're at. I mean, we do deals in San Antonio all the time, but it's a lot easier if you can get into a blue ocean where it's not as competitive. So I'm going to show you guys kind of how to pick markets, how to talk to sellers, and really anything else you guys want to know. I'm an open book, and I believe if you focus on giving, it always comes back to you in one way or the other. So I definitely want to help as many people as I can win. So first thing we get into is how to pick your market. So that's one of the tough parts a lot of people struggle with is how to pick your market. Knowing if you're picking a good one, because far too often, people pick a market and it might be super easy on the acquisition side, which is finding the deals, getting them under contract. But it can be next to impossible or very difficult to move them because there's no investors in the area. If it's very rural, it's just not really much happening there. So you want to pick a market that's one, not super competitive on the acquisition side. So you don't have to compete against everybody and their mother. But you can also move the deal after because it's pointless and frustrating. It's worse than pointless because you're wasting time, money, and energy getting a deal under contract that you can't move, and it's frustrating and it sucks. And it's never fun. So here's some of the ways I recommend doing it. So again, if you guys don't have access to this, make sure you take some notes. So here on Investor Lift, I'm sure there's some other tools that do it as well, but you can actually see how many deals are being moved, what the flip volume looks like. Hopefully you guys can still see my screen. But if you'll see here, you can kind of see the different states by quarter. I think, yeah, that's you go up to 2023 quarter 1. You'll see Florida, Texas, California. So this is where the most flips are getting done. So flips are getting done. We know there's buyers in those states, but obviously those are giant states. So they want to get a bit deeper into that. So you can do county, you can do city. I think city is probably the best place to start. So what we do is when we pick a market, we like to go within 30 minutes of that market as well, because a lot of buyers will usually buy in those ones as well. So bam. So you can see here, it's a lot slower than it was in the previous quarters. But you can look here, Phoenix. Phoenix is hot. There's a lot of wholesalers there. There's a lot of flips happening there. Houston is number 2 on that list. Baltimore is 3. Vegas is 4. San Antonio is 5. We got Jacksonville, Chicago, and it goes on. You guys can see this, and just let me know if you guys want to take any notes at any point. I'll slow down. But you'll see here's all the different ones that are happening. And then so all these markets are good because you're going to be able to move these deals. And if we go back, let's see if Q4 had more. Yeah, if you go to Q4, you can see there's a heck of a lot more flips. Yep, sorry. Yeah, David, I'll go back. Good to see you on here, man. So we'll go back to states. But yeah, if you see here's as of 2023 Q1. Here are the top states. So we got Florida coming in number 1, Texas number 2, Cali number 3, Ohio, Arizona, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Illinois, and Pennsylvania. And you'll see even then they're pretty close. It's not until you get down, and hopefully you grabbed all those. Cool. But you'll see if you go down, these are the states where nothing's really happening. You got North Dakota, Alaska, Wyoming, Vermont. So if you get a deal in those states, it's probably going to be pretty hard to find a buyer because there's not that many. So I wouldn't pick those markets. And again, yeah, we'll go back to the city or the county. I don't know the name of all the counties. So city's probably easier. And again, just do like a 30-mile radius around there. But yeah, so Houston, Vegas, Phoenix, these are the big 10 to go down. And then the ones you'd want to avoid, I mean, even those, they're still top 50 for cities. So for anything on here, you'd be able to move because there's a lot more cities, obviously, than there are states. But hopefully that's helpful. So these are ones I look at. So these ones, now we know we're going to be, if we get a deal here, we're going to be able to move it. And then if you, so now we just want to make sure it's not super competitive because Houston, Vegas, Phoenix, San Antonio, all those ones are super competitive. So you probably want to be somewhere or in here where there's flips still happening, but it's not super competitive. So really the best way, I mean, really with anything, the best way to learn is by taking action and doing it. So once you get into these markets, you start doing deals, you're going to learn real quick, if it's competitive or not. In San Antonio, for example, we did some mailers recently. We do a lot of marketing here, and I get people telling me they get called 5-6 times a day. Even with the mailers, we try to hit more niche lists, and they're telling me there's like 5 or 6 other investors that we're going up against. So it's frustrating, it's tough, and it doesn't really leave a lot of meat on the bone. And if you do get it, hopefully you're just a lucky guy that gets it. And let's see. Oh, cool. So I think we saw those. But cool. So next step, what I do is I want to go to Google Trends. So Google Trends, if you don't know, my background's in marketing. I've been an entrepreneur for about 10 years, even though I've only been in wholesaling for about 3 now. But my background's in marketing, so I love all the stuff, getting into the data, getting into analytics. So Google Trends is like what's popular on Google, what are people searching? So one of the things we can do is we'll type in, wholesaling or real estate wholesaling. And I already know just from playing here, you can type in anything, you see how popular it is. And we can do past 30 days. And if you see here, when you go by sub-region, you'll see here's the people that are most interested in wholesaling. So here's where you're going to see, where there's a lot of, people that know what wholesaling is, people that are searching it, people that are looking it up. Because if people are Googling wholesaling, it's a good sign there might be a lot of wholesalers there. And again, it's not, completely accurate, but it's just like a good indicator of something we want to look at when we're picking a market. But I'll pull that up in a second. And so Jay asked, he said, when you say not a lot of meat left on the bone, how low of a profit are you generally left with? It's like 5K wholesale fee. We usually do like 10, 20K, like anything less than 10K. I feel like it's not really a big deal, but on average, we try to make like 20K a deal. But if it's, competitive, like I said, that's when it gets lower. And the fees get smaller if you're lucky enough to even get the deal. But so if we go here, and then, so those are the states. And then if we want to do cities where it's most popular, it doesn't want to show us that one. All right, so go back here. So if you go here, you can kind of see the blue areas, the darker the blue, the more people are searching it. So that's where it's the most popular. So you see Nevada, we could probably take, Vegas up if we go back. Probably don't want to do that one because that's one of the ones where there's the most concentration of wholesalers. Utah, I see 100. When it's 100 like that, for some reason, Nebraska has a lot. Texas only 41, but again, we know there's certain areas that are competitive, but Texas is just so big. North Carolina is a big one. New York, but not too many. And all these white ones, there's barely any search going on here. And I know from experience, when I've done marketing in these areas, I'm not competing with a whole lot of other people. So you can see it there. You can see some of the lower ones, like New York's lower, Pennsylvania, it's like 40, it's ranked to 42. I don't even know what that state is. If it's in Ohio or something. No, that's Ohio. That's something. I don't know. I'm not a geographic expert. See, Georgia's pretty popular. So ideally, you'd want to pick one of these. And again, so you'd want to cross-reference back on here. If you see one, so Philadelphia, the number wasn't too high. It's a 42, which was higher than last time I looked at it. But Virginia, that's a 15. And we can see if there's any markets in Virginia that are moving a lot of deals. And I'm not seeing anything here on the state, so we'll go back to the state and see where Virginia ranks. And so Virginia is 18. So, I mean, it's not the lowest one by any means. There's still a lot of flips happening there. So that might be a good market to pick where you're getting deals. Obviously, you want to do more research and see where those flips are happening. We can go by county, more stuff like that. But so that would be one I'd say, hey, that's probably a good one. Let's try some marketing there. And then always just like, look at your numbers. So run it, like do some marketing there, do some cold calls, do some text blasts, whatever you do. And then just test, see how it works. How many people tell you they're getting blown up all the time? And if you don't hear that a lot, you think, hey, it might not be as competitive here. But hopefully that makes sense. This is kind of what I do. I look at Google Trends. I try these markets. And then if you guys don't have access to InvestorLift, just feel free to take notes. And then I'll take a screenshot of this too, and I'll send you guys all this stuff after if you guys want. Just we'll find a way to get you all this info. But you see Massachusetts. So that one, 27. So it's a little bit lower on the flip. So it's a smaller state. This is a lot of search interest there, but it's funny. But if you go above that, not really so much. But that's one way to do it. But again, best way is always going to be just taking action and finding out. So you want an area with, again, not a lot of competition on the acquisition side, but you can move the deal after. All right, and let's go. So pick a market, try it out again, and we'll see how it works. And now I'm going to go over how to find leads. So once you find a market, another thing that I like to see is how easy is it for me to get data there. Now can kind of be a double-edged sword if it's super easy to get data. Like here in San Antonio, I just click one button. I'll show you guys. It's like for San Antonio, I just go here and I just saved it. So I always do a lot of Google searching because anything I can find online is a lot easier. And I really like any data that you can get directly from the county because you're getting it before sites like PropStream, before sites like Batch Leads. You're getting it well before, and it's free. And I mean, you can't beat free, but it's super easy to get it here. And we already know it's super competitive, but literally I just click this one button and then you'll see here, I just download the whole list. So if it's that easy for me to do it, it's that easy for everyone else to do it. But we will still get deals off this. So sometimes like there's markets like Corpus Christi, like we have to actually go ahead and we have to reach out to them and request it. So it's not always a bad thing. But yeah, you just go to the county. It's usually the code enforcement officers who you'd want to speak with, and you can get all that data. So one of the sites that I like to use is Open Data Network. So basically what they do is they aggregate all the data from a lot of these sites, like that San Antonio one I just showed you, and they have it on here, so it's easy to find. So if you go to opendatanetwork.com, you'll see that there. Then I'll go back to it so you guys can see. This is what it looks like if you're on there. Opendatanetwork.com. This is a free site. And you'll go, you can just type in code violations. Oh, no, you don't want to click it. You want to search it. Code violations. And I always just save it as a bookmark, so I don't have to do this every time. You just hit search, and you'll see now you're searching all these. So you can see Dallas, Fort Worth, New York. So again, when New York doesn't have a lot of competition, but it's easy to find. So you might want to try that one. Montgomery, Dallas, Buffalo. I won't spend a whole bunch of time on this. I do have a free YouTube video on how I do this. If you guys want to get more granular with it. But basically you'll pick one, or you'll just do some Google searching when you pick the market on how to find this. A code violation is a good one. Free foreclosures is a good one. You can do the same thing here. Type in foreclosure. So you just want to do the keywords, and you'll see, hey, what pops up. So now, hey, here's the list of all the foreclosures. I don't know where King County is, but yeah, there's all the ones in King County. And just make sure it's not the old one. And you can see when was it last updated. So that was last updated in 2022. So that's probably not going to be very helpful right now. So you want stuff that was updated recently. So this one was just done at the end of July. So that's not that long ago. And when you go there, you click it. I haven't done this one, so I don't know exactly what they're going to show us. Because these are just parcels of land. So still could be a good one. I might actually try hitting this one up. List of parcels. So you'll get the data. Then all you do is you either click this little export button, or you can click view data. And they'll show you all the stuff. So this isn't helpful. This is just grid IDs. So we wouldn't want that one. But I know the other one's good. So the Fort Worth ones, their data is pretty clean how they organize it. And you'll see here all the columns. This is the different stuff they'll show you when you click the view data. Click view data again. And you'll see here, here's all the different data. Oh, So yeah, I appreciate you guys. All right. And yeah, you'll see here, here's all the data. So you want to export, you want to clean it up because a lot of it is just like a huge thing of data. So I have my VA go through and do it. I just record a video of like, hey, here's how you do it. And then they come and do this for me. But you'll see here, there's 660 pages of these. So these are like thousands and thousands of leads. So you'll see some of these are older. So we'd want to filter them. It's a lot. You can filter it on here on some of them. Sometimes it's a lot easier to do it on Excel or a Google Sheet, whatever you're more familiar with. But I like to do, see, like all these, I wouldn't want this stuff from 2007. So I'd want it like the new stuff. So you do descending, think of descending the first time. Yeah, basically these are all the ones for 2023. So I'd go back and get the last month or two. You'd want to get the ones that are just open, and you'll just create an Excel sheet and you'll just clear it up. How to do it. I'm not an Excel wizard by any means, but you can Google or YouTube pretty much how to do any of the stuff you want to do. And you'll see here's the type of complaint it is, property maintenance, high grass weeds, zoning, solid waste violation, health hazard. So all these, like, it means the house is probably distressed, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if they're not taking care of the weeds are real crazy. They're so long, they're getting in trouble with the city. There's probably stuff on the interior of the house that they're not taking care of, or in their personal life, there's probably stuff they're not taking care of, with their finances. So these are good indicators, that they might be distressed. And again, it's not a perfect indicator, but they point to these people might be distressed and they might want to sell their property at a discount just to, have a quick, easy sale and, not have to deal with the headache. But you'll see here's these, a multifamily. And I would just download these, export them. We do a lot of text blasts. We do a lot of cold calling on a dialer. And yeah, it's really, you can get as many leads as you want, absolutely free. And the cool thing is, I didn't have to leave my house to get these. I didn't have to go anywhere. I just got thousands of leads absolutely free. And you can just go back, rinse and repeat for any other markets you want to try. And it's literally that easy. Dave said, what dollar to use? We just started using a new one, Call Tools. We've been using, we've liked that one so far. We tried a couple different ones, but we primarily, honestly, we mostly do text message blast. But you do have to make sure you're registered now. They just changed all the rules up. But yeah, we get most of our deals from text blasting and voicemail automation drops. And if we have time, I can show you guys how that looks. So this website, Manny, it brings you there, but the one you want to go to originally, I'll see if I can just drop it in there, but I'll find a way to get you guys all this stuff after. So it's Open Data. It's Open Data Network. Which one is it? And these are all different ones that I save. So I have a whole list. Every time I find one that I like, I just bookmark it and I come back to it. Yeah, data on Open Data Network. Yeah, so opendatanetwork.com. And I'll see if I can drop this in the chat for you guys. Thanks, man. Type answer. Cool. We can do that, right? But yeah, so that's it. And I gotta get you guys all the links and stuff of everything go over today. You see there's like literally so many of these. And then if you do some more like Googling, like there's ones I don't get on here, but this is just a good place to start. It's super easy to access. All right. Perfect. So hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any questions about that, drop them in the chat and I'll make sure to go through them after. Way too many things out. Oh, there we are. Okay, cool. So that's how to get leads. And then you just skip trace them, however you want to skip trace them. Use your favorite skip tracing service. All right, perfect. So now we did that. So I just want to go over quickly how to talk to sellers. So I've done sales since I was 18 years old, and I'm a big proponent on scripts. I really think, you got to use a script. A lot of people think they sound robotic or they think they don't sound good because they're using a script. And they're right, they do. The reason they sound robotic, though, is because they haven't practiced the script. And once you need to practice it and drill it until you don't sound robotic. You keep it going until it sounds like you're just having a normal conversation. And even though I have these memorized, these are same scripts, variations of ones I've used for like over a decade, but I still always have it in front of me. So even right here, you guys can see, I have this 8-10 page script. This one, I'm going to show you just the intro, but I always have it in front of me. I always have it easy, that way, if I ever get lost in conversation or in thought, or if the seller starts talking about something completely random, I can come back to the script and I can know exactly where to go. So if he's talking about, vacation or something random that has nothing to do with anything, I can come back and say, no, this is where I'm at. And then I can focus on the tonality. I can focus on, how I'm saying, what to say instead of worrying about what to say. I can focus on how I'm going to say it and how I'm going to deliver it. So highly recommend drilling it. Whether it's you have a friend or coworker, or maybe someone in here on the call, and you guys want to do some role playing. In my mastermind, we meet, at least once a week, and we do role playing. And I think there's really only two ways to get better at sales, and it's role playing or it's actually talking to sellers. And I'd much rather role play and practice, with a friend or a colleague, or maybe even yourself, and you just want to record your calls, than practice on the money when you have a real seller live on the phone and you have potential to make money, because you don't want to be practicing then. You want to practice when the stakes aren't as high. And it's awkward. Nobody likes to role play. Nobody likes to do it. It's always cringy, and it's funny when making people do it for the first time. But you just need to get over that, because this is literally the most important thing you can do, is having good conversations with sellers. It's the whole name of the game. But I'm going to go over the script real quick, and then I'll get you guys all a copy of this after too, if you guys want to check out my script, in case you guys don't have one that you use. And so it's all about tonality. So if you guys ever seen The Way of the Wolf, or not The Way of the Wolf, The Wolf of Wall Street, The Way of the Wolf's a book that Jordan Belfort actually wrote. It's a lot of similarities from that. I've read probably like 100 sales books over the years, and it's probably one of the best ones. I've got a lot of takeaways from. So it's like, hi, is John there? Hey, John, this is Kai Logue giving you a call. How you doing today? Like, great. Now, the reason for the call today, I was calling about the property over on 123 Main Street, and I wanted to ask you a couple of quick questions so I can get you over an offer. You got a minute? Like, perfect. And that's really all you want to do. A lot of people, they fuck up, they mess up in the beginning. And this is the most important part. This is when you can literally kill the deal. If you sound like, hi, and you're stumbling over your words, you don't know what to say, you're going to lose the call, because really that initial interaction, that initial first couple of seconds of the call is where you're going to make or break it. And if you ruin it there, you get out of rapport by not sounding professional, by sounding like you don't know what you're talking about, you're never going to get anywhere, and you're going to be pulling teeth over the next part, which is where we're gathering information, we're doing discovery and trying to find their motivation. So I start these questions, and this is the most important part. I start these questions with really softball, easy questions for them to answer, and then they get a little bit harder. So get a little more personal. And then when you deliver these ones right, it's a lot easier to ask the harder ones. And if you do that first part right, it's a lot easier to do this at all. Because if you ever had a seller and they're just stonewalling you, like anything you ask, like yes, no, like, no, like what do you want? They're just like not giving you anything. It's probably because you messed up the intro, or it's probably because you just came in too hot. Because if right away I asked, hey, how much do you want for it? Like we're not gonna be in rapport anymore. Or why do you want to sell? I'm gonna ruin it. So first thing it says, so just to verify, I pulled your house up on Zillow. It looks like it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,000 square feet. Is that correct? Like, cool, yeah. And the cool thing is they know I got it from Zillow. So that kind of disarms them or puts them at ease. And then it's just a yes or no question. It's a closed loop question. Now, are you the only owner? Is anyone else on the deed? If they say, oh, my wife, like, okay, cool. Is she on board with selling too? Awesome. Are you handling everything? And I'll go deeper with all these questions. How long have you owned the house? Like, oh, we've owned it, 5, 10 years, 30 years. I'm already thinking ahead too. I'm like, okay, 30 years, it might be paid off. If this doesn't work for a wholesale, I might be able to do seller financing. Now, are you currently living there or renting it out? They say we're living in there. Like, great. If they say renting out, I'll go deeper. Like, cool. How long have you had the tenants? Are they good tenants? So on and so forth. I'll just try to go a little bit deeper. And then this is probably like one of my favorite questions. It's like literally a magic question. Let me ask, what made you decide to consider selling? And if you don't have good rapport, they're probably like, because you called me, or because whatever. And like, that's bullshit. They're talking to you for a reason. If you randomly cold call these people, you randomly texted them, or if they're a hot lead and they've filled out like a web form, they're talking to you for a reason. There's a reason they're sitting on the phone call with you, and they can be doing literally anything else. They're talking to you today. So there's a reason, and your job is to figure out what is the reason. Why do they want to sell? And when you find out the why, the money, everything else, isn't nearly as important. Your job as a salesperson, your job as a wholesaler is to find out what their problem is and find out how you can solve it. And that's why we get paid, ridiculous amounts of money. And, that's why sales is the highest paid profession in the world, because, literally you're solving people's problems. Now, and then this one, if we're able to come to an agreement, how soon you're looking to sell. And going back to that, if you did everything else well, they'll tell you everything right there. They'll open up on that previous question. And then sell gives you a timeline. I start to get them thinking future pacing, like, oh, right away, ASAP. Like, cool, I know that's a good one. Like, awesome, we can definitely get that done for you. Then we ask them the price. And then no matter what they say, it's a super low price, super high price. Really, how'd you come up with that number? Like, oh, well, Zillow, or, my cousin's cousin is a realtor or something. But so cool. Whatever they say, I don't acknowledge it. I move on. Even if it's super high, you're like, great. So next step, I ask you a couple quick questions about the condition of the property. Then I'll get everything over to my underwriting team, and they'll let me know what the property qualifies for. Sound fair enough? Yep. All right. And then here's what we do. I call this like the reverse walk around. When I used to sell cars, we basically do this thing called a reverse walk around, which is where we get customers to lower their price by walking around their car, looking at like all the dings and scratches and just looking back at them, and getting them to say what was wrong with it. So I'm trying to get them to say what's wrong with their house, because it's a lot different if I say, oh, you probably need this, you probably need that. But if you can get the seller to say, hey, it needs a roof, we haven't done it in 20 years, it needs a new kitchen, bathroom, they're starting to think it out in their own head, because they're saying it, oh, my house probably isn't worth the first price I said, because it needs all of this stuff. So is there anything wrong with the major stuff, roof, foundation? So we go into all that. And this is, again, I want to go into everything, like super deep with all these questions. Favorite question here, those at the end. And this is like I mentioned, softball to hardball. Are there any liens or mortgages on the property? So I'm trying to find out how much they owe, because I know I probably can't go much lower than that price if, or they're going to take a loss. So if I know they said they want 200, but they only owe 100, like, we have some wiggle room there where, we can get it sold for 100 grand there. And then, great, based on everything you said to me, it definitely sounds like a property to be interested in. Now, what we do here is we purchase properties for cash. We pay all the closing costs. There's no real estate commissions. And the best part is we buy them completely as is, so you don't have to put another cent in the property. And we can close on a time frame that works best for you. So for an offer like that, what would be the best price you could do with the property in its current condition? And I always say it just like that, like current condition. So they go back and they think, oh yeah, my house needs all this shit. And then whatever they say, are you flexible with price at all? Now, 9 times out of 10, if you did your job well here, if you had good rapport, they're going to go ahead. Their price is going to be much lower here, because they're thinking about all the stuff that's wrong with it. And, you're actually in rapport and you're having a real conversation. And it's like, oh, they came down in price. And I ask again, are you flexible with that price at all? Usually they'll say yes, and they'll come down. And now, if no, if yes, if no, if they're like, no, I'm not coming down, I'm like, okay, I got it. But keep in mind, we're covering all the closing costs. There's no commissions. And this is an all cash offer. Is that really the best price you can do? And then if they say yes, cool. Well, good news, they can get your number at least close to it. So I'm going to send everything over to my team, see what it qualifies for. Do you happen to have any pictures I can share with them? I set the follow-up time. Ideally, we're doing it later that day, no later than 24 hours. You wanted to get back to them as soon as possible to get them that offer. And personally, I like doing the 2-step close. I think it works a lot better for this. And that's it. So I'll get you guys a copy of this. And then I have some videos that break this down a bit more to you. And I saw there's a couple chats. Okay, so Mason, what's your website to join the mastermind? What about sub 2? So for sub 2, I do have a sub 2 script. I do usually share my mastermind. We can go over that a bit later. I don't think we'll have time to go over that today with virtual wholesaling. But yeah, when that goes, I go over that in the second call. Or in that, when I know they're way off, I'll kind of go over, all the different, options. Like, okay, look, would you be open to something like that? But it really depends. It's like, if I know they don't have any equity, if I know they don't have, if they have a great interest rate, or if I know they want too much money, I'll start considering those options. But in this first call, for me, it's more introductory. It's more discovery based. I'm trying to find out all the information and get all my ammunition put together. And I will drop the link after for the mastermind. I'll pull it up in case somebody wants to apply. Cool. So we got that. How to talk to sellers. And then obviously closing, that'd be the second call. So real quick, just want to go around to find a title company, especially when you're doing it virtual. So I know there are some great companies out there that do it in a bunch of different states that are national. If you can find one of those, that's perfect. It makes your job a whole lot easier when you're doing it virtually. But if you don't have a title company, really what I recommend everyone does is vet the title companies, because we've had some nightmare deals, a lot of nightmare, a good amount of nightmare deals that it's been so much harder than it needed to be because we chose the wrong title company. And it all could have been avoided if I just did more research. So I always recommend, if you know someone that's used that title company, they've had a good experience, and hopefully they'd use them for a wholesaler as a wholesaler side or an investor side. That's perfect. I mean, if you have a referral, yeah, it's worth its weight in gold. But I recommend doing, checking out their Google My Business page, checking out what people on the internet are saying about them. Because, if people have had, like, that was one nightmare one I'm thinking of that we did in Georgia, like literally all the bad stuff that happened to us. Like I didn't pull it up till after, but all the reviews were exactly what happened to us. They wouldn't communicate with us. It seemed like they didn't want to get the deal done at all. It was just a nightmare. And there's like so many people had that same exact experience. If I just did a quick Google search, I would have avoided all that. Like, I still don't know how we got that deal to the finish line, but we did. But worst case scenario, I mean, you won't, and you'll lose the deal because you picked the wrong one. So, use your network, vet them. I like to call and see, like, can I talk to the escrow officer if I call them? If I, what do the reviews say? Can I talk to the escrow officer? Are they wholesale friendly? Ask them if they know like, do they deal with assignments? If they say, hold on, I have to check, or I don't know, like, that they're not the right one. Just move on. Not all title companies deal with wholesalers. So you want to make sure they do. I always recommend ask if they have a cap. Some title companies, they'll cap how much you can make. And that sucks to find that out later when you're already in the deal. So just vet them, do your research, and make sure you find the right one. And then once you do find a great one, one of the things I learned from one of my mentors, Uncle Charles, is to build a good relationship with them. Treat them, like, value them, and just one of the things we did that we learned from him was that we buy them breakfast. After we successfully close a deal, I'll buy them like artisan donuts or something and just have it sent out there, and I can do that virtually still because you can use like Uber Eats or whatever. And they love that. They value you over the other people, and they'll, like, expedite it. Cool. And then finding buyers, real quick, we use PropStream. We usually use Investor Lift, and we use God Mode. Investor Lift's kind of pricey, so most of you probably don't have that, but PropStream, they have a free trial. You can also check county records, but PropStream, you just type the area. Let's go real quick. It wants to work. So do San Antonio, and then literally they just have this cash buyers button, and then you can mess with the filters. You can do it more. You can do, how many properties they bought or how many properties they own. You can do 3. You'll see this little number will change too. So you see that one down to 47. You do last sale date. So yeah, really, then you just go through and we do the same thing. We always call, we talk to our buyers. We want to vet them, make sure they're real buyers. We can go in Facebook groups. I look at other people's posts that do, like, I don't recommend just giving all your info away on the deal. But you can do like, hey, who's buying deals here? Or, hey, I have a deal that's 70% of ARV in this area. Is anybody buying there? And then grab their information and then have a conversation with them. A lot of people want to skimp on the buyer process, and you really don't want to do that. You want to treat that, as like, it takes almost just as much work sometimes as finding a good deal, as finding a good buyer. So same thing, you find a good one, you want to value them, you want to find a good buyer. It makes your whole job so much easier, especially when you're doing virtual. And if you're doing deals in a lot of different markets, you have to do the same shit every time. So you want to make sure you have your buyers, you have them in a CRM, and you're just keeping everything organized. But that's really it. Yeah, I'd probably go down more and try to find it similar to like what yours is and what you bought. And then you'd pull them, skip trace them, and then, say, hey, are you still buying deals here? Cool thing, if you guys do have Investor Lift, I'm not an expert at it by any means, but the way I do it is, we'll type in the address, like, I don't know. There you go. So whatever, random address. And they just want to be real close to what you bought. Do the sale date. And then I like doing it this way. It makes it a lot easier. They score their stuff. January, update results. You'll see here they have all these buyers here, and then sometimes you'll still have to do your own research and skip them. But if you go to the buyer score, which I like, oh, boom, there you go. So that one's crazy, yeah. But you'll see. So their buyer scores means they've done a lot of deals or they're active on Investor Lift. And then I'd go and I'd try to find these people, like who they are. Sometimes you have to do a lot of Googling. Open Corporate is usually the site that we use. You'll see if you can find who that person is. Usually these high ones, if you can find them, like great, they're usually super solid buyers. But all these like higher score ones, like these are solid buyers. So you're gonna want to call and build relationships with these people. And another thing is don't send people junk. A lot of people they get junk deals sent all day. So if you can avoid getting sent junk deals or sending them out, do it, because like if I get a junk deal from someone, I just like I'm not, next time I see their email, I'm just not gonna look at it. Sorry, I see some questions here to you. What makes a good deal? If you go virtual, do you have to do more on market deals? I don't do on market, man. Everything I'm talking about is off market. I only do off market deals. But a good deal, typically 70% of ARV. Sometimes even depending on the market, you might need to go a little lower. You'll kind of find that out by, again, just doing the work and then finding out what's going on in that market. And once you find a good market, focus on that one, trying to be too many different places at first until you kind of get a good handle on it. But yeah, so yeah, I do off market. And then like some place like California, we can get away with a little bit higher than 70%. Some places can be a little bit lower. Yes, have used batch leads. I have used batch leads. Super similar to PropStream, in my opinion. It's just personal preference. Um, Jason Slim asks, if you don't have boots on the ground, how do you know what the property is, what they say it is? I don't have batch leads. Yeah, I don't use batch leads either. But I've used in the past. They're cool. Property is what they say it is. So yeah, I have them to send me pictures. So I'll have the seller, once we like earn a contract, I'll pay like a realtor usually to go out there take pictures because I know they're a little more trustworthy than a random person. Also, we use TaskRabbit, which is an app you can download, and I just hire somebody to take pictures for the day and just tell them like everything I need pictures of. But it's just, yeah, you need to get someone boots on the ground, but it's like super cheap. It's like 40, $50 sometimes on TaskRabbit to have someone go out there and take pics. If I want my hand held for the first deal to help with that. To an extent, the mastermind, we got a lot of new guys that we just kind of coach and just go over everything, but hop on calls with people if they need help. But I mean, you have to do the work, man. You can't really skip doing the work. But yeah, if you want to do the work, I'm always happy to help. Do you buy a property as a cash buyer? Can I sell you a deal? I do. It depends where it's at. But if not, we have a lot of buyers. I mean, JV with people too. If it's not something I'd buy, but I'll put all my contact info at the end. But cool. And that's really, like I said, I'll get you guys on the scripts, contracts, everything I went over. I figured we'd switch over for the end, just do a quick Q&A. So yeah, whatever questions you guys have, I'm an open book and more than happy to help. And I appreciate all you guys hopping on. Hopefully you guys found some value in this. If you guys did, let me know in the comments. Hopefully I shared at least something that was helpful. Okay, and just what about sub two deals? Sorry to ask stuff. I'm not a sub two expert by any means. So I'm not really sure what you mean by them. So like I said, it's always an option. You want to have multiple options, but if you haven't done any, I'd recommend partnering with someone who has. If you don't know how to pitch it, but yeah, it's I always go for cash first, anchor low with cash, and then we see if it doesn't work, then well, hey, we have other options. Let's go over sub two. Let's go over seller financing. So based on how they answer those questions in the script, that's kind of how I decide, like in the back of my mind. And as you've been doing it for a while, you'll kind of be able to get there. You'll be like, hey, this probably won't work for cash, might work for a subject to deal, or it might work for seller financing. So just knowing that you have all those different options. Yeah, I appreciate you, David. Sign up with email, but never got scripts in my email. I'll make sure I get it to you guys. I'll check on that. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll do the see if I can find the right one. I'll drop the link in here while we're doing that. Yeah, it might go to spam because it's all automated. But here's the right link to get all my scripts and contracts and all that good stuff. I don't know if that went to you guys, but so yeah, I have all my contracts. Yeah, if you guys go to scripts.reibotcrm.com, you can download all my stuff. But yeah, I do JVs, May. So if you guys have any deals, our dispo process is real solid. We move deals in a bunch of different states. So I was happy to take a look at any deals you guys have. So yeah, as long as the numbers make sense. And then let me get
Okay,
the
and
other
guys,
link. Mhm.
yeah, sorry, Kai. So
No,
if
you're
you
good.
want the information as well, you can write to us and we will send it if you don't receive it from him. Okay. I already copied the script there in the chat as well.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And then here, I know somebody asked about the mastermind too. Here's the link too. Yeah, for JV any state, yeah, we'll take a look at it. If it's something we don't think will move, we'll let you know. Or we'll connect you with someone that might be a better fit. And then boom. And then yes, I just dropped that. I don't know if you can share that, Valentina, to you, but if anyone wants to check out the mastermind that's there. But yeah, any other questions you guys have about wholesaling or about doing it virtually, drop them in the comments and more than happy to answer them for you guys. And then on YouTube, I think we dropped the YouTube one, but I do have full free course on how to get started that kind of goes over everything. So they said, what is your go-to deal finder list? So I like the code violations that I showed you guys. So anything I can get from the county before anyone else, I like those ones a lot. But if I am going to a site like PropStream, I don't know if that's something Real Estate IQ does as well. But any data sites, I like absentee owners that are out of state that have a good amount of equity. Those ones we usually do pretty well with too. But yeah, really code violations, brief foreclosures, anything from the county is kind of our bread and butter. Um, sub twos. Yeah, we do sub twos. Yeah, we usually wholesale. We don't really keep anything. Our main focus is wholesaling. And they say subtitles. I'm like, yeah, we got subtitles too on our videos. David said, do you sell notes and how do you network with note buyers? So I haven't in the past yet. But I know there's a bunch of people here in San Antonio that do. Jay Slim said, do you need to look into the state you're buying in for the rules for wholesaling, or you can go by the rule laws in your state? Yeah, I checked the rules. I know there's some states that have more laws. So yeah, I would check. I wouldn't yeah, I definitely would check. I know there's some ones that you have to have your license, or there's more rules. Um, but yeah, you can just do some quick Googling and get your foot in the door. But the cool thing about having a title company or using a lawyer, they're the ones you're going to make sure all the contracts are good. They're going to make sure that everything's done the right way. So I wouldn't get like analysis paralysis with it and overthink it. But yeah, I definitely would do some quick Google searching when you're picking a market.
Great. Thank you so much. If we will wait, if there is any other question, if not, okay. David had asked as a question.
What?
Wondering.
So Dave said, when you sub to, what are the codes for the wholesale process? Can you retype that one, man? I'm not sure what that word is. Cost. What are the costs wholesale process? I'm not. I think it varies. That's something else you can ask too when you're dealing with a title company. You're dealing with an attorney. You just ask what their costs are. So yeah, I don't really have like a general number. I think it can definitely vary. So yeah, you can definitely ask when you're vetting the attorneys or you're vetting the title company. Which national title company handles wholesale? Go ID. I'm not sure what Go ID is. Oh, best. So I'm not sure. So I don't really have one. I know I'm blanking on their name right now. Priority title. I've heard good things about. We haven't done a deal with them yet, but I know a few people have. Yeah, typically it'd be handled at closing, as far as my knowledge. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Zagla. Yeah. So yeah, priority settlement drop group is nationwide. I've talked to them too. Yeah, they're great people over there. Super helpful.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Kai, and everyone for being here. Guys, it was really insightful. It was great. The information you shared with us today, everyone is really happy. So we appreciate it.
Awesome.
And we
Thanks so
hope
much for
to
having
see
me. I appreciate it.
you in another webinar.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great.
Okay. Okay. Have an excellent day. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.